Happy 2024, everybody. Welcome to the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT network here at Center Ice. I am Nick. Beside me here, as always, is Brit. How's it going, Brit?
As most of the time, unless she's not.
Yeah. Last week was a bit of a tough one. I forgot to text you. My computer died. Everything was going.
All my fault. It was
those types of episodes happen, but
huge party foul for me. So unfortunately, I'm not here like doubly awesome to make up for it. But next week, I'll be triple awesome. We'll see.
No, I was just thinking. I was like, that's life. Life of the party is when you get to talk with somebody, just about whatever. At least when it comes to podcasting, I don't know. It's difficult to do it alone. Like last week, there's a lot of things, and I was like, I'm grasping at straws at this point.
Unless you're Jeff Merrick, it's really hard to have a conversation with yourself for many minutes. He can do it for hours, but he's also he has wonderful conversations with himself. But other than himself, there's not many people that can keep a flow. I think it's hard to keep like a steady flow without having to rearrange your brain. But yeah, it was a great episode. You did amazing. Honestly, who needs me?
Oh, stop. No. They are much better than the two of us. I will personally start out that way. Anyways, pardon the mess as well. Everyone's in vacation mode. We're just kind of in the middle of doing stuff as well. So you get to see the bed sheets there right before they get changed.
That's okay.
Anyway, before we begin with the main bulk of the show, don't forget everyone to like and subscribe, follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows like the Cluster Puck Podcast go live. So don't forget to follow, subscribe on the various social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere you can. If you want to follow us, you can follow us at the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook, and then at Cluster Puck Avs on X, Instagram, and Threads. Okay. So we were going to record yesterday and then have the weekly review for Dallas, the game that just happened. Mm-hmm. And all the rest of them coming this week, but scheduling didn't work. And so you said, you know what, we're going to record one right after the Dallas game, fresh off of a win, a nice overtime win. So we'll get talking about that as well in this episode. But first, let's go over the other games that did in fact happen. The Avalanche are going streaking. Brit, isn't that a great feeling? Finally, after it felt like 2 months of having nothing stringing together, you're finally on a 4-game winning streak.
Yeah, we just can't even pick any consistency, even if it were to consistently lose. They refuse to identify with any kind of consistency. But finally, it feels like we're maybe getting there and finding stride, or maybe we're just blinded by McKinnon's excellence and who even knows what's happening around him. But it feels good still.
It does. What else is there to say? What do you have? 12 goals and 20,000 assists. He was just a point machine last month.
Shouldn't he? He should be at. Would he be at 23 games? Had he not missed a point in?
Had that St. Louis game scuffle, not scuffle, but just that little trip not happened, he would be at 23? Over 20 now.
Dumb. There should be a lifeline. He can just have one card that it's his free space.
That's your mulligan. You get a mulligan.
Because he's gonna go on another 20-game one, and it'll be well, if only I'm in St. Louis, man. And of course, we won that game still, which is peculiar. That one decent game that the team plays, he doesn't get a point, but
I know. Well, let's get into that game actually. So wins against the St. Louis Blues at St. Louis. The San Jose Sharks at home, the Islanders at home, and then on the road to Dallas just happened at the time of this recording, beating the Stars in Dallas 5-4 in overtime. So the St. Louis game, let's get to that one. They win the game 2-1 in regulation time. However, the whole game to me at least this is my opinion, and you might have something completely different from your perspective, but the whole game just seemed so pedestrian,
it
almost
was
borderline boring. where it was like no one's doing anything. The goals just felt like you had to like it was like trying to baptize a cat. It's like difficult thing to do, and you're just like, could someone just do something? I was at the point where like toward the end of the game, I was like, someone like put together goals.
Someone out there to fight someone or something. Yeah, it was just boring. I mean, and it was almost like we're so accustomed to some kind of stress or tension or good, and we weren't getting any of those. So like somebody wasn't sucking so bad, or somebody wasn't missing the net so much, or somebody wasn't like on the verge of a hat trick. Like there was none of those little like dopamine satisfiers were out there at all. Which is probably ideal, because that means that, it's probably the easiest games on the bodies and the mind for the players. But yeah, it was pretty boring, especially when you consider we pretty much lived for the St. Louis games. I mean, for a long time, and now it's really just kind of whatever. They don't have Prawn. Bennington sucks. We don't have Kadri there. It's just I always say it's hard to have a rivalry when one of you sucks. So I guess we can count St. Louis out now.
Well, and unfortunately, I think you might be right, because like for me, I have not only my sibling rivalry with my brother in St. Louis, but the team itself, that back in the Bennington Kadri era, that kind of stuff, all that just made my blood boil watching the Blues, at any point. But now it's just like there's no substance under the rivalry anymore. And like the same thing with like how Detroit back in the day used to be. And now it's just kind of a meh. It's just kind of one of those now where it's just another brick in the wall against the Central Division. But either way,
the whole game felt weird too. Like there was like I think a 15-minute time span where we didn't have a shot, something like that. It was like almost a long time, which it didn't like. It wasn't like a domination of possession by St. Louis, but it was just really underwhelming. And even though we won, it was really hard to get super excited about it. We had just blown the lead to Arizona. And then it's like, okay, well, should we be that excited about barely beating a team on the cusp of a rebuild? I mean, and I don't know that St. Louis will ever totally submit to a rebuild, but at the very least, they're amidst a retool. Like they're looking at some very big, they're definitely relooking at their profile and they're going to be doing some selling and buying and changing up. So
yeah, absolutely. And had it not been for Robert Thomas's shorthanded goal, it would be a 2-0 win. No goals in the second period. So like I said, just I think the only bright spot out of this game was Ryan Johansson snapped a pointless streak, or at least a goalless streak. So
and it was almost kind of annoying because everybody's like so fed up with him that him scoring was like, okay, well, we still want more. You know what I mean? People still are very satisfied.
Yeah. But he did have a good game. And like honestly, he's been playing fine. But kind of like with Burakovsky, where he would just disappear for a week or two. Yeah. He just kind of did that, which was very weird.
He still stands out in a really, really weird, in a way that he just doesn't skate with the team the right way. So like at least Berkey could like actually disappear, but I feel like Johansson mostly just disappears on the score sheet.
That's mainly it. His body presence, I would agree, is definitely still there. Face-off presence is very much there.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. So win there, then you head back home for a couple games. First one against San Jose. The last time you'll see them this season. You win 3-1. Goals by Rantanen, Nichushkin, and a cool like 190-foot shot by Josh Manson, empty netter. Really cool.
Yeah, that was so wild. I don't. NHL players, a lot of them can't put it in the net. I don't even. Did he do that on purpose for sure? Or just
he shot for sure, but just
did he? Okay,
it's not easy to nail an empty netter from that distance.
No, that's
let alone be a defenseman that does that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this one was a lot more tough because it felt like San Jose they were definitely digging in their heels defensively. Goaltending for them was really well done.
I'm starting to, it just blows my mind the way that these goalies play against us. It's truly incredible. I mean, it's truly incredible.
It really is. And had it not been for Val Nichushkin breaking the tie with about 3.5 minutes left, this game could have very well gone to overtime, and who knows which way that would have tipped. That's just kind of the San Jose way of things, you know. They're not like a give up and quit type of team. They'll always be right in it. It's just luck at the last 4 minutes of the game just takes them out of it, and that's kind of how things have been going. They're on a 9-game losing streak. And that's time.
What's so crazy is like, so they started out with that huge losing streak, and then they went on a streak where they won like 10 games in a row or something. It's crazy.
They won like 6 out of 10, I think, but just a crazy good amount, a very high clip, I will say.
And it's something even with that little run of wins, like they still might only end up like averaging, like it looks like they're aiming to get like 20 wins this season, and that's with a quick winning streak. So yeah, they're really, really bad. Like really bad.
Yeah, not the happiest, especially, you know, they're my, like I said, I say this every time, my little brother team. But at the same time, if it gets them the first overall pick,
right,
you know, and one of my bold predictions, my wife and I make bold predictions for the season, beginning of every season. Mine was that San Jose does not eclipse 20 wins. And unfortunately, that is almost looking like it's going to happen. Not happy to say it. Not happy that I'm right.
It's a weird thing to like lose, or I guess you could call it like embracing the losses, but you just got to keep your eyes on the prize.
Exactly. Nope, you're 100% right. Okay, so that game again, close, but the Avalanche prevail. Great as always. So you end the new year on a win, and you begin the new year on a win. This one was a lot more intense against the Islanders at home, winning 5-4. It was a game of like, well, the Islanders went up 3-1 at some point during the second period.
That game was so dumb.
Yeah, with a couple, I don't want to say back-to-back goals, but about 4-ish minutes apart, Nichushkin and then Jonathan Drouin, who, side note, is playing phenomenally.
Oh my God, my guy! It was getting bleak there for a minute.
He was on hat trick watch.
Yeah, he and that Tatar kind of seem to be following the same trajectory. No identity, no line fit in, and Josh Juan has found himself a freaking home on the Avalanche.
He is doing great. He is doing really, really good.
Yeah.
So back-to-back goals from both of them ties the game up. Islanders pull ahead in the last of the by the end of the third, I should say. Once again, Val Nichushkin, the lone goal scorer in the third period. He is the guy that is always there. We're going to talk about him in the next segment, but boy, it is so great to have Val back in his kind of like peak form, I guess you could call it.
Well, and at this point, we've also got Sir Samuel Girard back, who is he looks healthy and ready to freaking go. I mean, he's played phenomenal. He came back for the San Jose game?
Yes, I believe it was that one.
He had possibly one goal that you could blame on him. A puck just basically bounced right over his stick, but it's really, I mean, yeah, you should get it, but also it's a rubber puck on a piece of ice, you know. Other than that, man, I tell you what, I don't hear very many people complaining about his play now. So.
Not at all. I think he's laying like 3 shots off the posts already. So it's like it's coming. He looks and plays much. I don't want to say much different, but it just seems like it's different, way different because of he just feels rejuvenated. I don't know. It's good. Anyway,
he's got that all resolved, and it's so nice.
I believe he does. And like I said, if there are relapses or whatever, we know that player assistance program is there. It does help.
Yeah.
You know, and never be afraid to use it.
Top to bottom with having Girard back. I mean, it's such a relief.
It is. It 100% is. But the highlight of the game, besides it being this really great back and forth momentum, the Islanders actually were playing not boring hockey for once, which was really fun to see. About 30-ish seconds in, Nathan MacKinnon, like that Twitter that you sent me about him being like a bull in a china shop.
If
Angrily buries a slap shot from Cale Makar, assisted by Cale Makar, I should say.
I love it so much. And then Dangle too, like he plays hockey like he hates the puck. Like
he hates everything.
The puck, like he actually actively is angry. Yeah, those two guys, they're like the two funniest guys. I've never listened to a hockey podcast where I'll just like actively just cackle by myself, like just walking. I mean, they make, I don't know if you've seen the Brad Marchand interview with them. If you want to fall in love with Brad Marchand while also like laughing at his expense, it's such a hysterical interview, and they're really, really funny. And I tell you what, we don't hear about the Avs on national non-team podcasts anymore, but they're all talking about McKinnon. Everyone. And it's kind of funny because today kind of I got all of my weekly I finished kind of all of my weekly national lower level podcasts, and everyone from 32 Thoughts, Jeff Merrick, Frank Saravalli, they're all talking about Mac, and that's straight up to SDPN shows, Chris Johnson, everyone. Mac is at the top of everyone's list right now for the Hart Trophy, and if this game tonight, I mean, his performance in the last 2 weeks,
what else can you say?
Usually when he starts coming out of his shell, usually he is very mediocre up until right now. He generally has a little injury, struggles, flounders a little bit, and then we kind of come into this, and then he starts to pick it up. And if this is the beginning of his usual ascent to the playoffs, then the world is going to, I don't know if the world can handle it.
They are not ready.
No, he is playing like a madman. It's so
amazing. Insane. Yeah. I think just seeing his play, because like I said, there are the two sides of Nathan McKinnon, right? And there's a side we're seeing now where it feels like anytime he touches the puck, the opposition is in danger. Like no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah.
Or there's the side where he's trying too hard. He's doing all the same stuff, but just there's the little mistakes where he accidentally gives it away, bad pass, can't handle it, where he tries too hard. It's the style is the exact same. I think in my mind, I just think it's a more lax mentality instead of a panic, like I got to do something now.
Right. It's when he's like,
this is mine, this is my shot. I'm going to do this. It's a confidence. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's right now, he's my Hart Trophy candidate.
Which, just to bring it up so that we can remember it once again, that reverse hit that he paid to that was that the Sharks? Who was that? It's like a rookie or something. And then he looked at him and he said something, and the way he looked at him was
like screamed at him.
Oh my God. If he weren't a professional athlete with the most pristine diet, you would have to assume that this guy was on just all of the drugs. Because it was kind of scary, but also
worrisome,
he didn't even finish letting the kid like realize that he was
hit. He was just screaming by the time impact happened.
Yeah, it's insane what an absolute brick wall Mac is. And I mean, he's got to be, the way that they talked about it's like McDavid is light on his skates and he's nimble, but like Mac is just a Mac truck. It's just so crazy how different he is from I don't know who compares to him at this point. Like, I don't know who could even.
He's got the scoring ability of McDavid. He's got about the finesse of Tom Wilson at this point. But it's like you've combined everyone into one player, and that's the one Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
Happy to have him. Like every year, year in and year out, you're like, he is the meat and potatoes of the team. But just recently,
right. No, I just really think it's his emotional growth is finally catching up with his body's ability, and we still see him act like poopy pants Mac every once in a while, and it's painful to watch him pouting on his butt in the corner when he could be still having possession of the puck.
Trying to stop a turnaround breakaway or whatever.
He's grown up a lot, and I don't think he's done yet. So if he, at this point, should he not get the Hart Trophy, I think it's safe to assume he never will. Like, there's clearly, it's just not going to happen.
If Austin Matthews and Connor McDavid, the only lifeblood of their respective teams are still in contention, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, Matthews is like on pace to score like 75 goals right now, but there's just so much more to it. I mean, Mac is so much more dynamic. I mean, it's just I don't know. They should probably just give it to Mac so that they do not have to listen. If they don't give it to Mac, Habs fans will be insufferable. Absolutely insufferable. And I will personally see to it. So all the voters out there.
There you go. There you go. Better watch out, Twitter. She will be feisty. The one highlight, like we talked about, the goal. That goal usually it makes like a ping noise or or no noise if it hits the net. This one kind of snuck its way past the bars and past the netting and hit the camera mount box, and it made a very loud thud. Like it was like game over, and like
it's so funny.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So we skate away with that one. 5-4 win in overtime. And then the Dallas game, which of course for us just finished. We win the game 5-4 after being down a couple of goals in the third period. Again, this is back to that find a way mentality like we had back in 2022. However, not only the Nathan MacKinnon play, which we'll get to, Jonathan Drouin, 2 goals.
He's just, I mean, he is steadily, I think he's at like over almost 40 goal pace right now. And that's like, when you consider, I don't think he had a point for the first, 10 games? And he is selling nicely. He's clearly on Bednar's list of dudes, which is important. Because if you're not, But I'm for $825,000. He's already earned that. Like, when you consider the pay,
just by his goals alone, that was goals 7 and 8.
Yeah, and Raj was saying, re-sign him right now, and I agree. We need to sign him now, and I just
extend him. Yeah,
hopefully he, gives us a hometown discount. Hopefully this is now his hometown. I mean, he may very well not be playing in the NHL had we not. And it certainly wouldn't be as ideal as it were here. And it's just nice to see what a guy can do when he's mentally healthy. Playing really with his besties.
I mean, and that's kind of I don't want to call this one the Avalanche effect anymore. I want to personally call this one the MacKinnon effect.
Yeah.
Just memories of back when they were in Halifax with the moose heads and all that kind of stuff. Probably was like a nice breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Not
amazing what
no pressure.
Like mountain air and good people will do for you. I invested so much emotional energy into him. At the beginning of the year, I wrote my big thing, and I was like starting to get real. When we traded Tatar was kind of when I was like, shit. Like they're starting to make decisions on people, but I am glad that they gave Drouin some time. Granted, there's not really much you would do with him at $825,000. It's not like you can trade him or anything, but it's nice to see. I mean, he's basically worked himself back up to the top line. He's doing a lot of first power play. I mean,
he was up there as well.
He
was up there in overtime as well. They put him on for a shift or two. So he's getting rewarded for the production he's putting out. He's playing really, really well, so I think he could be easily on pace for 20 goals in the season, 40 points overall, like you said.
We talked about at the beginning of the year, he's got the biggest reward for the least that we gave up. And I'd say that it's already just a huge win for them.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. Again, so down 4-2 with about over halfway in the period. Sagan had scored the 4th goal for Dallas immediately after Jonathan Drouin responds. About 30 seconds later, Mikko Rantanen on a very odd, I would say fluky goal ties the game.
Yeah.
I didn't personally see the puck cross the line, and I looked at the replays multiple times, but I could see how the trajectory would bring it over.
Right.
but I never really saw it. So I'll take it. Don't get me wrong, I'll take it.
Same.
But I'd like to see a different camera angle because it's probably the camera angle that just,
Well, and then it's a bummer for Dallas because they can't really challenge because you can't go right on the PK for that. It's just I don't know. But we really haven't had a lot of that puck luck lately. So I think we're due a little because we have not been able to buy good bounces in many games this year. So I don't care. I'll take it.
Yeah, like I said, I'd take it too. And that was with about a little over a minute left. So tie the game, go to overtime, kind of near the end-ish of overtime, about a minute left in that probably. Nathan MacKinnon with this amazing poke check. And he had the opportunity around the defender. He could have either tried to make a maneuver around, which the defender was anticipating, leaning away from the boards, I should say, far side. He instead pokes the puck this way as he himself is heading around his defender to the left. That was the perfect move. And with Devon Taves in tow, might I add, it becomes a 2-on-0.
That's what I'm looking around. I'm like, there's no Dallas. Where did they just all fall into?
They all just disappeared. Like the entire camera shot had 0 Dallas in the frame, which was amazing. And
just like, oh, fart.
Yeah, poor Wedgwood. You feel for the guy. He played a really amazing game.
He always does.
But at the same time, when you get between a shark and its meat, you become the food itself. You know what I mean? So Nathan MacKinnon just buries a lightning shot.
And for everybody who is always, we're so gripping the trigger, shoot the freaking puck. Nathan MacKinnon didn't even think about doing it. He just shot the freaking puck right in the back. Yeah, through the net. There's a hole in the back of that net now. That's that shot. I mean, that low blocker. It's just Nathan MacKinnon. That tip to himself is something that a lot of people can't appreciate. I mean, Nathan MacKinnon is better than you. He's faster than you and smarter than you, and just he's
better. He is better
to hold against him right now. And now I just can't believe that he had this game, that goal, while he is peaking in national media coverage. He's got to win the heart. And there's a lot of discussions, including with Jeff Merrick, who has a lot of pull for Nichushkin. And the what's the other one that starts with a C? The other award, the comeback.
The comeback.
Not the Trey Masterson.
There's a Rocket Richard for most goals. There's Lady Bing.
No, it's a little more obscure, but other than a little less loudly than Mac, Nichushkin is. He is being recognized also. I mean, Nichushkin he has become like, he's taken that position of like garbage cleanup from Landeskog. He is so good in front of the net. It's mind blowing to watch the way and then when I saw how big he was on purpose, it's also kind of mind blowing that he doesn't really hit. He's not like, he doesn't, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't really hit. He doesn't really, he doesn't seem tough, but he wins puck battles, stick battles, board pinches, he wins it all, but he's almost seems kind of soft. And I also did you know that he lost his 2 front teeth? Like
they talked about that in the thing, and I knew he lost one.
And then in the Blackhawks game, he had to just like have the other one taken out quick too because it was loose or something.
That was just nutty. Just nutty. But let's actually go into that then. So right now there are 3 Avalanche players. Last I checked, there were 3 Avalanche players who have 19 or more goals. Yeah, 19 or more goals. That would be MacKinnon with 22, Rantanen with 20, so 2 less, and then Nichushkin with 19 goals. That's only a 3-goal difference, and we're over here seeing the praises of Nathan MacKinnon.
Yeah.
Let it be known. Well, that's because MacKinnon has 42 assists to his name, right? But let it be known that as far as goals, Nichushkin is right behind.
Yeah.
Mikko Rantanen and Nathan MacKinnon.
So quietly just, when you consider who he was when he left Dallas. I mean, it's incredible where he's at right now. And we kind of considered this like a little bit of a redemption year, like after how the playoffs went last year and everything. And if he hasn't earned your appreciation back yet, or your welcome, if you're not ready to welcome back, I don't know what will, because this year it's not the loudest. Like people aren't talking about it nearly as much as McKinnon, but Nichushkin he's up there with anyone else on this team. And honestly, in the league right now, he should be recognized.
I 100% agree. And there's a good side to that, but there's my little, bless my heart, in the Southern way. I always have that thing of like, oh, he's going to get recognition and teams are going to want to try to get him because he's doing good. But I don't know. But at the same time, I feel like because we kind of revitalized his career, he had a renaissance, I guess, so to speak. I feel like he would stay with the Avalanche, but there's always that little doubt in my head saying, oh, what if there's the perfect trade?
What do we have him for, like,
happens to be in there? What's that?
What do we have him for, like 7 years? Is this contract?
Yeah, 7 years, 6 years, something like a long time. So it's like right now he is playing for his $6 million price tag, a little over $6 million price tag.
Yeah,
which
and
is
he's 28.
Yeah, he's still, he's got plenty of time in him. He's producing, which is wonderful. But I guess this is now kind of the bulk of the subject that we'll talk about is, does Nichushkin deserve to be on that Mount Rushmore of current Avalanche players that we talk about? Usually when we brought it up, at least a couple seasons ago, it was the same four. It was McKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, and Landeskog. Landeskog obviously hasn't played the last season in now a half, I guess we could say. In your opinion, then, Brit, does Nichushkin substitute for now? We could say Landeskog, or has he maybe etched his own face on that Mount Rushmore? Does he deserve to be up there? What do you think about Nichushkin overall with the Avalanche?
I mean, obviously, I'm really happy with his performance thus far. I think that it's really hard for me to accept him as like Mount Rushmore-ish. It'll take a couple more years for me. For me, those types of like positions and like the recognition are for like the long-term consistency. And I think a couple years of him and a little like more grinding, you know what I mean, with the team. I think he will be, though, ultimately, as long as he can maintain consistency. I see no reason not to. He, like right now, he's already 2 goals above how many goals he scored last year or something like that. He's at 19. He scored 17 last year. He's gone up every single year. So I'd say if he had 2 more years of consistently performing, I think he'll be up there. It's a little bit harder for him to kind of get there because he doesn't have that like social presence. It's easier for us to fall in love with the dudes that like are socially out there and put themselves and make themselves vulnerable. So he keeps himself a little more protected. And I don't think that people really talk about him or notice him as much as they would if he were outwardly social. Does that make sense? But I just think we need a little more time from him. Especially, I do think that the playoff thing last year may have been a little bit of a setback emotionally for a lot of people. Just because, it's hard. No matter what happened, I don't care what it was. It's just a lot of people, it just takes a little bit. So I think 2 more years of consistent play, regardless of cups, anything like that. But just consistency will get him there. But you can't deny that he is just a very special Avalanche player right now, especially in the time that we don't have Gabriel Landeskog in his cleanup specialties. He's filling a lot of like very particular niche jobs that would otherwise be.
Sure. For me, to answer my own question, I am of the opinion that he is currently on the Mount Rushmore in a kind of more of a temporary position where he takes Landeskog's spot. Nothing to discredit Landeskog, but as of right now, he is one of the 4 players you are depending on for scoring, for checking, for turning the puck over to get possession back, stuff like that. I would agree that if there's a couple more seasons, maybe he just becomes a permanent fifth Mount
Right.
Rushmore.
It's
You know
hard
what I mean?
to kind of like have our core, and he's kind of one of those guys that it's like some people, our core. So we've got Nate, Matt, Gabe, Makar, and Taze. I kind of consider that to be like the crew. And then you've got kind of like your little bit more external core where you think of like the dudes that have been around for a long time, but they're more accessory pieces. But I think that Nuke could certainly push himself. And some people may already consider him part of the elite core. Some people may say he never can because he messed up. But I think that he could get in that core within.
Yes. Yep. I totally agree. And I do bring up the last 3 years statistically, 52 points the year they won the cup. Excuse me, the year before they won the cup. Or no, sorry, the year they won the cup. So 25 goals, 27 assists for 52 points. Last year, 47 points still, 17 goals, 30 assists. This year he's with 19 and 19 for a total of 38. Wild. So he should blow past those, no problem. And if that's the trend, like you said, if you got a couple more years, now he becomes that permanent fixture where he's like you depend on him, kind of like you're already starting to do now, but it becomes one of those you kind of expect him to already be up at the top no matter what happens. Does that make sense? So I would say for me, it's kind of like a yes on the Mount Rushmore temporarily, a couple more seasons and you're there permanently. Right, because he could always have the decline,
stuff. I mean,
oh yeah,
he is just feasting, absolutely feasting on the power play. If he can keep that up, I mean, he's making himself very, very, very necessary for this team to have in order to do anything. So
he really is,
and that's the kind of stuff that you do to make yourself more valuable to a team. So
100%. Okay, so with that, then we'll go ahead and jump into our last topic. It's pretty late here, so we kind of want to have a little shorter episode. We have 1, 2, 3 more games for this week until the next episode. This one's going to be fun.
It's a hell of a week coming
up, difficult. Man. Wow, is this one going to be difficult? So, all 3 home games, which is nice. That helps. You first play host to the Panthers Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Then you play host to the Bruins Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Wednesday night, national broadcast, it's the Avalanche and Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a matinee Saturday. You're competing with headline news against the college national championship game. Who's that? Washington and Michigan. So you'll play against college football for viewership. But Wednesday spectacle, Wednesday night hockey, TNT, that one you're going to have to bring your A game because once again, the Avalanche tend to do this thing on national broadcasts where they just kind of crap the bed.
Yeah, they sure do.
Anyway, so real quick, we'll just go into each one of them really fast here. So the game against the Panthers. Now, keep in mind, as it stands right now, the Avalanche are tied for first in the league with the New York Rangers.
We're just over here so busy whining and being scared of our team being awful, and they're just like first in the league.
Yeah, and I touched on that last week a little bit where I said, I know we're Debbie Downers because of the rocky road to Dublin.
Right.
But you have to realize we're not as bad as we think, right? And I was even talking to
there's no juggernauts in this league right now, short of maybe the Rangers, but we all have issues, like big issues. Yep. And a lot of them have less assets than we do for the deadline. So it's a weird year, man.
This one's going to be an interesting year for sure. Mm-hmm. Allie and we're probably going to be at screaming matches for the next couple of days. Because both of our teams are tied for first place. We're going to be definitely screaming at each other, trying to out-brag each other. But all 3 teams are in the top 10 or maybe even top 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Top 8, actually. Boston being right behind Colorado in third place in the league, and then Vegas and Florida in 7th and 8th. So this is going to be a juggernaut of a week. So the key to success, or I guess one of the things to pay attention to for me, this one's a little more odd. The Panthers themselves are not the most terrifying because Kachuk is not on his A-ish game right now.
No,
it's the fact that it's a matinee game. I am just like the rest of the hockey world when it comes to superstition. The Avalanche are terrible when it comes to matinee play. It's a 2 p.m. Mountain Time puck drop. I don't think that's too late or too early, I should say, but at the same time,
it's so hard to know.
The track record does not track well. I'll just tell you that for right now. Again, the Panthers they're a great team. I'm not discounting because we could absolutely get spanked in this game. But the way the Avalanche are playing and coming back from games, I think it's okay, right? Especially with third period play.
Yeah,
as long as we're in that game, we always will have a chance. But it's a matinee time for me. That's where my superstition is going to rest. I'm going to die on that hill. What about for you, Brit? Panthers. What is something that you're kind of, I don't want to say tense about, but something to look for?
They're just such a weird team. We just I mean, it's so just such a cop out, but like we've just got to play a whole game and we've got to stay smart. We've seen Miles Wood has played really good, and then we've had a couple of we just got to stay smart, and we need to see some goaltending. I mean, that's really Georgie has got to stay. I wouldn't say tonight was a bad night, but still sub 900. We got to see a little bit better goaltending, but I just don't even. They're just such a weird team. We just got to come out the whole game. The lapses are just. Yeah. I just say goaltending and consistency through the whole game. I'm so sick of being killed by 5-minute lapses. So
I would totally agree. Okay, so next, Bruins game. The one thing that I'm going to have to watch on this one is going to be their firepower, especially, oddly enough, not only on special teams. Their special teams are fantastic, both on the power play and the penalty kill. They just scored a shorthanded goal today at the right before this recording. They are a team that if you do these little dumb penalties, incidental or accidental, they capitalize off of them like crazy. And if you have a double minor, questionable, albeit double minor, like today with Jack
who saw the blood
getting tripped
from the blood,
fell into the tripper, and then got the high sticking call double minor because of blood. I guess his blood is clear. I guess I don't know. Anyway, stuff like that though. If it's a double minor, you might as well, to me, chalk that up for Boston. 2 goals. Very, very difficult to stop. Very potent on that special teams. So that would be my one to watch for Boston. What about you, Britt? Same thing ish?
What was that?
I said. What about you? Sorry.
Yeah, pretty much in agreement. The games last year against Boston were all so weird and awful, and the weirdest timing. They were the games that I can't even remember the bizarro things that happened before every game. It was like when everybody was hurt the most, when we had no goalies. Didn't we have to play Onanen in one of the Bruins games last year or something?
Yes, we did. I got slapped across the face many times with that game.
I'd imagine that we will put Georgie in what kind of sucks is maybe for the Panthers game. So we can have, we put Prosvetov in for the Panthers game, maybe so because he's already played 9 games in a row right now.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Which is weird because part of me thinks that the Panthers game might be more strenuous than the Bruins game, but you just never know with the Bruins. They're certainly not sucking by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm looking here.
It could be that he plays because you do have then a long road trip back east.
Yeah.
That Prosvetov is guaranteed to play at least 2 of those games.
Yeah, and it's wild because we have not been playing East Coast teams. Like it feels like we have just been.
No, we're going to have a, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game road trip following the string of home games. So
yeah,
I think Prosvetov will for sure play 2 of those. If I had to pick one, I'd say Panthers would be the one that you probably.
Yeah, it's always so.
Yeah.
I always feel like with Tkachuk, like he's such a you just never know what you're gonna get. He could dominate the whole entire game and just I don't know. But yeah, I think Panthers is probably the better of the two. But I mean, we're just gonna. I think they're all still winnable though because they all have weird issues too. I mean, they're just there's nothing about either team that terrifies me, but we just all have to show up because that's what we keep. It'll be curious to see also if we have Lehkonen coming back here sooner.
You're skating in non-contact, so it's sooner rather than later, which is good.
Okay.
Yep. So then real quick, we'll touch on the Golden Knights game. For me, since this one is nationally broadcast, bring the A game. And most importantly, and I noticed this is a bad trend that the Avalanche do, they need to play until the end of the buzzer at every period. I've noticed in the last minute.
It's so gnarly, man.
It seems like every third game in 1 or 2 of the periods, a team will score on the Avalanche. It's like, oh, cool, the period's almost done. We'll kind of whatever. And then they get scored on.
Right.
You need part of the full 60 minutes, which I know we talk about the game at large. You need to play a full 20 for each period.
It's just so hard to go into the locker room in like your resting period with such a crappy feeling, and then you send your goalie in a tailspin. Like at the end of the period, when momentum is so big, and that's kind of what with this road trip coming up, we really need to start off on a good note because I really think that we can build throughout the trip, and if we start out on a negative note, it could just be kind of the same idea. But that the end of the periods are just, which at least now we're finally starting to score sometimes with the last minute.
We got a couple in the last few games, but
it's a good start.
They definitely let up a ton too. But yeah, I would agree. But like you said, they are winnable. But this is a test week for sure. Granted, like we said, they are tied for first in the league. I think Brit just dropped off. Might have hit a button accidentally. They are tied for first in the league, but this is the chance. This is the time for them to prove that they deserve to be first in the league. Again, Bruins being third place currently. Panthers and Golden Knights are 7th and 8th respectively, or might be Golden Knights, Panthers, either way. This is the time that they have to prove that they. Did you hit the wrong button?
I have no idea what just happened there. It just pulled up some what's new with Chrome, and I couldn't go back
and exit.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. But either way, I was just saying this is the time to prove that they deserve to be first in the league. Right?
Tonight's Dallas game was such after the wins, the St. Louis Sharks, it's like, yeah, that's cool, but we've really kind of lost our ability to feel that any game is a springboard for positivity with them because of the lack of consistency. So at this point, it wasn't it was good, but it wasn't that exciting. And then tonight's game was such a gut check to play well, dig in deep. Everybody kind of top to bottom played pretty decent. No egregious players really, really shit in the bed. And then to get that gritty win, finally, I feel like we can feel some real stable hope and, positivity in this team. But this next week is the real test as to whether we're truly cup contenders or whether we're just not there.
Yep. First, like I said, first in the league, first in the division by 3 points over Winnipeg. So there is some fluff, although they have games in hand.
Just there and they're really good. And I don't think it's even fake. It's so weird.
No, it's real. It's real. The Rick bonus effect, man. Anyway, so with that being said, we hope that we get a full 3 wins from the week. That will be a definite telltale sign of the, I guess, legitimacy of this year's roster.
Because I feel like more than even the rest of the nation, Avs fans have been on fraud watch for the Avs. Like, it's the own fans who have just been like, we don't know what to feel. Like, I don't know. So this is definitely, the next week is, it's a pivot. It's definitely a huge like vibes time to figure out how we feel on where we stand and what we can anticipate for deadline moves, whether we're all in. It'll be very, very interesting or very depressing.
We'll find out. All right. With that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Once again, everyone, thank you so much for watching today's episode of the Cluster Puck Podcast. If you like what you saw, there's plenty more stuff on the MHRT network. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Give all of us, I guess, a follow for the various sports around the Denver and state of Colorado. You can follow them on social media such as YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, the works. If you like what you saw here, you can go ahead and follow us on Facebook at the Cluster Puck Podcast, and then at Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter, X, Instagram, and Threads. With that being said, we hope you guys start 2024 off like the Avalanche, undefeated. I was going to say winless, but then I was like, wait a minute. Hang on now.
Hope you're yourself.
2024 winless. Wait a minute. Start 2024 undefeated like the Avalanche. And with that being said, we hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Don't laugh at me, Brit. And as always, go Avs, go.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.